Good afternoon. We'll now start. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to this pep talk. As a reminder, please mute yourself, but always show your video picture. Please sign in your name, your Facebook account, or email address in the chat box. Please include the names of companions attending with you. Use the chat box to ask questions and make comments while the pep talk is on. There will be group pictures at the start and end of the pep talk. Another reminder, please take the online learning kung evaluation test exercise for mastery of learning and have a perfect score to get a certificate like this one. Okay, the link, I think the link has been placed in the chat box. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I sent it already.
Abed, can you place the link to the chat box? Okay. Another reminder, 50 OLETE certificates will entitle one mentee to a voucher for a free ROJoson telemedical consultation. Feedback to this pep talk, please type in your feedback in the chat box during the open forum and before we adjourn. So let's now have a group picture taking before we start the pep talk proper in 2 minutes. Ready? Lorly, Charita, okay. Okay. Lorly, you want to join us in the picture taking? Lorly, okay, 1, 2, 3. I have a patient empowerment program in which I'd like to empower the lay people to have control in the management of their health. I started the pep talk in May 15, 2021. There are 3 courses in the pep talk. I completed the core course on October 9, 2021. And from October 23, 2021 onwards, I've been tackling health disorder and health issue courses. This may take 3 years or longer, depending on the enthusiasm, perseverance, and diligence of the mentees. My pep talk today is entitled Taning sa Buhay, Mayroon ba? So I'll be referring specially to the cancer patients. This is in consonance to the DOH's health awareness calendar and also in a connection with the National Cancer Survivors Day in June. The contents of this particular pep talk will be the following: Taning sa Buhay concepts, and then who has taning sa buhay. Now, how to use the median survival rates for calculating the taning of buhay for advanced cancer patients. Oftentimes, relatives of patients with cancer would ask me, may taning na ba ang buhay niya? Yung kamag-anak ko, yung tatay ko, yung nanay ko? This question is often asked by relatives and usually not by patients themselves, mostly because of the fear of death of the patient, and they are under stress. They don't like to ask. They want to just be quiet and silent because they are anxious and depressed. And also sometimes they also have a mindset that they will live indefinitely. So they don't like to ask these questions, or they don't ask these questions. However, there are some realistic and practical patients who know about cancer, who know about the prognosis of cancer patients, would ask me, may taning na ba ang buhay ko, doktor? May taning na ba ang buhay niya? May taning na ba ang buhay ko? To answer these questions is oftentimes challenging for me. One reason for this is that in the literature, there is no absolute translation in English, nor absolute definition or meaning of the word tanning. I've been looking at the internet, ano ba yung English translation of tanning? Iba-iba ang nakukuha ko. I have to probe first what the patients and the relatives mean when they use the word tanning in their questions to me. Otherwise, I run the risk of creating a misunderstanding on my answers when I don't inquire first what the patients and relatives mean by tanning. Baka meron silang iba-ibang perception. So, second reason why it is challenging for me, because in the setting of a cancer diagnosis, we physicians do not guarantee cure, and there is always the possibility of recurrence and death. And also, most patients are in a state of anxiety and depression. And because of this, I have to adjust my answers to the mindsets of the patients and the relatives so that I do not create more undue anxiety and depressions or give false hopes. In other words, I have to consider the psychological makeup and status of the patients and the relatives. I have to know where they stand, where they're coming from, ano yung mga mindset nila before I give my answers. Especially, these are on patients who are on the poorer prognosis side, or meaning the curability is not that good already. So looking at the literature and then from personal experience, when somebody asks me in the setting of a cancer diagnosis, may taning ba sa buhay na ng aking kamag-anak? The question usually connotes the following. Is the patient going or about to die already? And how long will the patient still live? So this is what I count from experience. When the layman people will ask me, may taning na ba ang buhay niya? So I like to interpret it as they're trying to mean whether is my patient going to die already, and how long will the patients will still have to live. So in other words, the connotation of taning sa buhay is that the remaining days of life of a patient are numbered already. Numbered already. Hindi naman eksaktong number. Mamaya i-explain ko. It will just be an estimate, but they usually, the connotation of this question is that may exact number na, no? Exact time, no? Which is not true, which is not accurate. In the literature, I saw a definition of taning sa buhay. As I said, maraming definition doon. Okay. One definition is that taning means it has been given a date for death. Kaya nung nakita kong date, exactong date ba ito? Hindi yata tama yun. No? So January 5, June 10, June 12, 2003. No. Okay. So I hope the date does not mean a day in a month or a year specified by a number. Baka sabi niyan date yung in general term, in general ways, no? Baka may panahon lang, not the exact date. So if it's an exact date, I don't accept this definition, as nobody knows, even as physicians. No physicians, I guarantee you, can tell the exact time and then the day and the exact day in the calendar that the patient will die. Okay. Impossible yon. No doctors can do that. No? So the doctors can only give an estimate of the when of death based on, ito yung mga basis nila when they give the estimate, established statistics, may mga data on this one, kung meron, okay. Then type of the cancer, kasi there are different types of cancer with different behaviors, with different prognosis. And then the extent of cancer also, early stage usually mas maganda ang prognosis compared to the advanced states. Then complications of the cancer and severity kung meron na. Okay. And general health status of the patient on top of the cancer, kung mahinang-mahina ay pasyente at maraming sakit, no? Siyempre, the prognosis is not as good as in patients with a good general health conditions na wala ibang sakit, no? And of course, when doctors give their estimate, they base it on their personal experience kung meron sila. For example, I don't claim to know everything, but I have a lot of experience with cancer patients, and over the years, I know I can give an estimate. No, baka ito, just this type of patients, this type of a patient with a particular state, no, will die in a matter of few months, a few days, a few years, gano'n, no? Okay, based on experience na, no? Nobody and no physician for that matter, I'd like to emphasize that, no physician can say a patient will die on May 6, 2024. Example lang ito. Okay. So at best, the physician can say that based on the data on hand, okay, sabihin niya, based on the data on hand, established statistics, type of cancer, extent of cancer, complications of the cancer and their severity, kung andyan na, general health status of the patient on top of the cancer, and personal experience. The patient, example lang ito, the patient has only about 3 months to live, the patient has about 1 year to live, 2 years to live, okay, or 6 months to live, etc. So they can only give an estimate based on these parameters. Again, I have to emphasize the word estimate. Any number given to the amount of days, weeks, and months and years a patient will still be alive or will die when answering the question on tanning sa buhay will just be an estimate, or we call that an educated guess. Educated guess kasi may mga basis na yung mga sinabi ko kanina. Okay. Nobody, no physicians can tell exactly when a patient will die. And however, an estimate can be done based on conditions that I stated above. May taning sa buhay is a question usually asked in patients who have diseases that are classified under dread diseases or life-threatening diseases. We don't usually ask this question kung wala tayong clear-cut, wala tayong evidence na yung tinatawag na life-threatening diseases. Example of life-threatening diseases are cancers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, heart disease, loss of limbs, organ transplant, paralysis, blindness, coma, yung may mga end-stage renal diseases na nag-undergo ng dialysis, ganon, etc., etc. However, most of the time, from experience, the question is usually asked at a time there is a progression of the diseases in which there is no known curable treatment. So, ito rin tinatanong yung mga nakikita nila, nagpo-progress na yung sakit ng pasyente, ng kamag-anak nila, sasabihin na, Doc, may taning na buhay ba ito at kamag-anak ko? It is also usually asked when patients are in the state of severe complications of the disease or in a apparent or evident near-death situation. Example, yung mga nagkakaroon ng difficulty of breathing already, okay, at wala nang ihi lumalabas, no? Okay, at that state, the relatives usually ask the doctors, okay, and even the doctors will somehow know, but they can just give an estimate. Hindi man sabi, oh, mamamatay na in 1 hour time or 2 hours time or 1 day's time. They will just give an estimate. Okay. So it is usually not asked in person, despite the fact that everyone knows every person will die someday. Palagi ko, most of you who don't have any diseases, no, will not ask, may taning na buhay, ang buhay ko? Because you just keep on living, and then you think that you just forget that there is a limit to your lifespan on Earth. Okay. So strictly speaking, every person has a taning sa buhay. So strictly speaking, as everybody will all die someday. We just don't know when we will die. It may be soon, sooner, or later. So that's our taning sa buhay. So in a sense, our days on earth are numbered. So recent studies show that nobody will go beyond 150 years old. The longest recorded lifespan on earth is 124 years old in the person of a French woman, okay, who lived to 124 years old. So sa ngayon, wala pang nagsusurpass ng records, but there are studies that shows that human beings will not be able to go beyond 150. Baka ang maximum niya 150 lang. Okay? So it's a given at the moment, no, everybody will die. Now, the other backup explanation, support for this statement that everybody will die because in those people in the health insurances, no, mga insurances, have monitored and calculated the life expectancy of population and probability of death in a certain age group. So this is what we call actuarial studies. So those who have insurances, malalaman ninyo kung ano yung mga actuarial studies na ginagawa ng mga insurance companies, and then they have different rates for your particular age. Kung matanda na kayo, kung nagpa-insured kayo, usually they will charge a higher premium compared to mas bata kayo, because they know that you might be if you are in the older age group, you may die anytime, mas malapit ka na mamatay kaysa yung mga mas bata, no? Okay, so in this sense, all of us will die, and then okay, so we say that there is really a taning sa buhay, okay, in general. Okay, all of us is a taning in buhay. Okay? So life expectancy is the statistical measure of estimate of lifespan of people. It tells us the number of years when a person who has attained a certain age can expect to live. Ito yung mga actuarial studies that, or even yung mga health statistics have shown that, not only the actuarial studies from the insurances. So current statistics shows that show that 71 years old as the average life expectancy of Filipinos. This is the recent, no? The life expectancy of Filipino males is 67 and females is 76. Actuarial studies are popularly used by insurance companies, as I mentioned earlier. They forecast the life expectancy of their clients, and then they use this for pricing of their yung mga charging nila for the insurances. Actuarial age is an individual life expectancies based on calculation and statistical modeling. Actuaries use mathematical and statistical computations to predict a person's life expectancy for his or her actuarial age. For example, ito yung table that shows at age 1 year compared to 110 or 100 or 90, nakita niyo the probability of death increases. No? Kung sa bata pa lang, less than 1%, pag 70 years old ka na, may 2% ka na probability of dying. Then at 80, 6%, no? 90, 18%, at 100 years old, 38% the probability of dying. No? And then, yung life expectancy mo naman, at age 1, kung wala kang mga sakit, mga ganon, you're expected to live, example lang ito, this table is 73 years old. Then, pag umabot ka ng 90 years old, 3 years na lang or 4 years na lang na yung ina-expect mo mabuhay ka, no? Wala kang ibang sakit, walang mangyari, walang aksidente, ganon, no? Okay. So, at 100, only about 2 years to live. No? So, in that sense, there is really taning sa buhay. No? As mentioned, may taning sa buhay is a question usually asked in patients who have diseases that are classified under the dread disease or life-threatening disease. The question is usually asked at the time there is already progression of the diseases in which there is no known curable diseases. It is also usually being asked when patients are in a state of severe complications of the disease or in apparent or evident near-death situation. However, the question is easier to answer for those with diagnosed incurable diseases like cancer, like advanced incurable diseases, and those who are in the stage of near death. As I said, may taning sa buhay natin in general, all of us, but it's harder to calculate the so-called number of years that the person has to live. Okay, in patients who don't have diseases, mas madali i-calculate yung mga may sakit, no? Okay, especially those with incurable diseases. Those with curable diseases, medyo mahirap pa rin yun. Okay, so but whatever we do, it's always an estimate. Okay? So if you ask the physicians, they will always give you an estimate. A lot of times physicians will just answer you, I don't know, because mahirap din mag-calculate. No? Okay. So in cancer patients, may taning na ba ang buhay is usually answered with the help of the so-called median survival rates. So we're now focusing on taning sa buhay in cancer patients. No? So when we try to answer this question, we can use the median survival rates. These are statistics. No? Okay. Or at times we can use the 5-year or 10-year survival rates, okay, to make the estimate. Median survival rate, this is the definition. It's the length of time from the either the date of diagnosis or the start of treatment for the disease. No? Kaya sabi ko, it's an estimate. Kumisan, yung starting point nito, kita mo, magkaiba. No? Pwedeng date of diagnosis or start of treatment. No? So hindi siya very, very specific. Okay? So the length of time from either this one or that one, that 1/2 or 50% of the patients in the group of patients, no, diagnosed with the disease or cancer are still alive, or half of them have died. Okay, so let's say 100 patients, okay, with a particular cancer. Okay, if the median survival rate is 2 months, example lang, if 2 months, that means 50% have died already. Only 50% are still alive at 2 months. Medyo pangit yon, pangit ang prognosis. But if you say that the median survival is 3 years, mas maganda. Okay? Or 5 years. No? Okay. So at 5 years, 50% have died, 50% are still alive. So yan ang ibig sabihin ng median survival rate. So ito yung pinaka-closest na way to answer the question. Yung mga estimate of, if you want to make an estimate of the days of the life of a cancer patient, usually advanced cancer patient, okay, kung ganong tatagal pa siya, we can use the median survival rate. But again, as I said, this is just an estimate. The 5-year survival rate is the percentage of people who are alive after 5 years, after they were diagnosed with or started treatment for the disease. The 10-year survival rate is the percentage of people who are alive 10 years naman, ito 5 years at 10 years, after they were diagnosed or started with treatment with the disease. Okay. So between the 5 or 10-year survival rates and median survival rate, which is expressed in months and years, median survival rate is more frequently used to estimate the taning of buhay of patients with advanced cancer. Kasi yun naman usually ang implication ng when you ask a taning sa buhay, gano'ng katagal? We are not asking for the percentage. No? So gano'ng katagal? So since the median survival gives the statistics on the months or years, no? Mas magandang sagutin yung question na yon with the median survival rate. Here, median survival is a statistics that refers to how long patients survive with the disease or how soon a patient will die with the disease after a certain treatment. So to repeat To answer the question, may taning na ba ang buhay ko in cancer patients? Estimate lang. Estimate based on the statistics can be used. However, it must be remembered that statistics are only estimates that describe the trends in large number of people or patients. They can help with the predictions, but they cannot tell what will actually happen to a particular person or patients. Because hindi natin alam kung saan babaksak yung isang pasyente, doon sa namatay o doon sa nabuhay. Ano lang yan, mga percentage lang yan, estimate. Again, let me emphasize, don't force the physicians to give a very accurate answer to your question. Okay, remember that physicians can only give an estimate of the when of death based on established statistics, median survival, 5-year survival, okay, type of cancer, extent of cancer, complications of the cancer and severity at the time that you're asking this question, general health status of the patient on top of the cancer, and then personal experience of the doctor. If they have experience, they will tell you. So let me repeat, factors influencing tannings ng buhay in cancer patients, the type of cancer, some are fast-growing, some are not fast-growing, the stage of cancer, advanced, usually stage 4, okay, not advanced, treatment, yung mga treatment not which are controllable, just call it controllable, okay, that can control the cancer, that cannot control the cancer, and not curable or curable. General health status, those with severe comorbidities and those without severe or no comorbidities, mas maganda ang prognosis nito. And age is also could be a factor. But usually, from my experience, usually age is not for cancers, but you can use it for extreme ages. Yung mga matanda, yung mga talagang 100, 90, gano'n. Okay. And then also usually with severe or comorbidities. Okay. But basically, these are the 4 important factors that will influence the tanning ng buhay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, ito naman, dun sa age factor, sometimes they use the age factor. So example will be, these are some findings in the research in the literature. Approximately 13% of women with primary stage 4 breast cancer survive 10 years after the diagnosis. 13% lang after stage 4. But women with diagnosed with stage 4 who are before the age of 50 have a better survival rate at 10 years compared to older women. So yung mas bata, mas maganda yung prognosis. Okay. So example here, 10-year survival rate, 15.7% for those 40 and below. Then 14.9, mas mababa na those older. And then 11.7 for those who are above 40. Yan ang illustration of age factor that can determine the tanning of buhay. As I said, a lot of yung age can be used, but a lot of people from experience, a lot of people use age. Matanda na yung pasyente ko. Okay? Huwag nating galawin. Okay? Baka talagang may tanning na at wala na. No? But I think we have to qualify this. No? So the guidelines that I usually give, my recommendation is that we have to diagnose first the cancer. Okay. The type of cancer. So if this is usually my recommendation, I have to diagnose the patient, the type of cancer, the extent of the cancer, is it curable or not curable? Okay. And then, so the general guideline is that if the cancer is more than 50% chance remediable, okay, kaya pang ayusin, kaya pang gamutin, despite the patient being old, kahit na 90-year-old pa siya, we go for the treatment. No? Pero kung 90 na siya at ang chances is less than 50, I usually ask them, wag na lang. Okay, these are my personal recommendations. Perla Pascua, can you mute yourself? Nadi-disturb lang ako. Okay. Can you mute yourself, Perla? Perla? Perla Pascua? Okay. So 5-year survival and median survival rates are available. May mga data dito for each stage of the cancer. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. But it's important for patients and relatives to understand that these numbers represent an average lang. Every patient is different, and what works for one person might not work for another, and vice versa. You have to take note of that. Okay. That is an illustration of the table as a cancers in the stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then may mga data yan. No? What is the 5-year survival rate for stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4? And there are also data for the median survival rate, stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So examples and illustrations. Applications of tanning sa buhay in cancer patients. Example, a 65-year-old female with pancreatic cancer. So ang tanong ba, early stage ito or advanced stage? Okay. So then you ask the question, may tanning na ba ang buhay niya? So kung early stage siya, let's say stage 1, so it's less likely not to have tanning. Okay, when they talk about yung numbered days already, okay, that's likely not to tanning. But as I said, it's still tanning because lahat tayo mamamatay, di ba? Okay, but usually when you refer to tanning, you're numbered, they don't usually have this tanning yet at early stage. But for those with advanced stage, more likely they will have tanning. Perla, can you unmute? Can you mute yourself? Can you mute? Okay. So the ito yung mga data to support the statements that I made earlier. Because in the early stage, the average pancreatic cancer survival rate is 3 to 3.5 years. Yan ang data. Okay? So ito yung tinatawag na median survival rate, no? But ang 5-year survival rate is 20 to 30%. Okay, mababa lang, mababa, pero wala pang yung talagang yung mga days are really numbered. But for advanced states, the average survival time is 1 year. Mas mababa. Ito, 1 year for advanced stage and 3 to 5 years for the early stage. And the 5-year survival rate for advanced stage is 1%. So dito, talagang you can try to make an estimate. It's easier to make an estimate here for the advanced stage. But for the earlier stage, medyo mahirap. But we can just give the data. Another example, a female patient with stage 4. Stage 4 means may mga metastasis to the bone, to the lungs, to the brain, to the liver. So may tanning na ba ang buhay niya? As I said, all of us, even without any illness, have a tanning sa buhay. No? There's numbered. So 70 years old, 90 years old, nobody knows. Okay. So, but if you are referring to a high probability of dying with the stage 4 breast cancer, when you say tanning sa buhay, then the answer is yes. Okay, because chances are of dying is great, because those without diseases have a lowest probability of dying. But in this particular patient with stage 4, they usually have a low probability of surviving. Okay. If you want an estimate of the remaining lifespan of this patient, you can use the median survival rate. The median survival rate is for advanced stage 4 cancer. 3 years with stage 4 breast cancer. So the estimate life expectancy of this patient is 3 years, but maybe sooner or later, because as I said, this is just an estimate. Okay, so there is no absoluteness in this. Kaya pag sinabi ng doctor about 3 years, Huwag niyong sasabihin na, patang pasyente namin nabuhay nag 5 years. Mali ang doktor. Okay, don't blame the doctors. Okay, so the doctors is just giving you an estimate, no? Kasi may mga exceptions to this estimate. Yung iba naman namamatay dun sa earlier than the estimate. Okay, so wag niyong i-blame yung doctor na mali ang estimate niya, no? Now, example, we have to, these are illustrations that we have to qualify also the different types of stage 4. In stage 4, as I said, pwede sa lungs, bones, liver, and brain. Nakikita nyo, yung mga naka-metastasize na sa lungs lang, no? They have longest survival time, 58.5. So that's about mga 5 years, no? Okay. And then for the bone, 44.8, okay? So, but others, as I said, estimate lang ito kasi may ibang authors, may ibang statistics that will give you 12 to 33 months lang. Iba-iba, no? Then liver, 36.7. So the brain, metastasis to the brain has the worst prognosis. They just, median survival is only 7.35 months. Okay. But that's why, as I said, when we make an estimate, we have to look at the details, the type of cancer, the whether where it has spread, no, ganon, and then the general status of the patient. Kung mahinang-mahina lang, mahinang-mahina, and with lung cancer metastasis, the survival rate can be 7.35, no? Kasi mahinang-mahina siya or baka meron siyang ibang sakit. No? So, ito, colorectal cancer with liver metastasis. Okay. So, ang 5-year survival rate is 11 to 15%. Stage 4 na kasi ito. The median survival rate is 5 to 20 months. No? So, if a patient will ask me, ano yung gaano katagal pa mabubuhay ang pasyente ko na may colorectal cancer with liver mets? No? Kung maraming, in general, I will give them the answer na 5 to 20 months. No? Ganon. Pero minsan, titingnan ko rin kung talagang maraming metastasis, maraming bukol na, talagang malala na, at hindi niya kaya yung mga gamutan, I can tell him that probably 1 year na lang siya. Ganon. No? Okay. Hepatocellular liver cancer advanced. Okay. 12% 5-year survival rate, median survival 6 to 20 months, less than 2 years. Okay. So it could be 6 months if it's talagang malala. It could be 20 months kung medyo not so malala at maswerte siya. Okay, only God knows. Okay, baka umabot siya 20 or even more. Okay, 24, 25 or even 2 years, 3 years, 4 years longer. Depende. So this is, if we talk about tanning sa buhay for cancers, we usually use the 5-year survival and the median survival rates. As I said, if you want to know the month or the year, you use the median survival. Again, it's an estimate. So takeaway and summary, tanning sa buhay. I have explained this, the concept. Who has tanning sa buhay and how to use the median survival rate for calculating the tanning sa buhay in advance cancer patients. So takeaway in relation to patient empowerment, be always in touch with reliable medical information on tanning sa buhay. Knowledge is power, it gives power. Use the 4 Ks of patient empowerment, kaalaman, kakayanan, karapatan, and kapangyarihan to gain greater control over decisions and make better decisions in tanning sa buhay issues in One Health's management. So with that, I end my pep talk. I hope I have empowered you to have a better or essential understanding of tanning sa buhay in your health management. As a reminder, please take the online learning evaluation test exercise for mastery of learning and have a perfect score to get a certificate like this. And then 50 OLETE certificates will entitle one mentee to a voucher for a free ROJoson medical consultations. Feedback to this pep talk, please type in your feedback in the chat box during the open forum and before we adjourn. So let's now have a group picture taking before we start the question and answer portion and interactions and also sharing of experiences. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Mona, you want to join us, Mona? 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Wala na. Okay, okay. Kompleto na tayo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, the floor is now open for questions, comments, sharing of experiences, etc., etc. Any questions?
Actually, Doc,
Sino?
ako po, si Mona.
Okay, Mona. Okay, okay, Mona.
Actually, Doc, tamang-tama yung last minute ako nakita ko yung nyo because may sinend po akong message kanina because of yung complaint po ng mother ko.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sinend ko po yung pero kanina sa inyo sa messenger.
Okay.
Yun po. So, bali timely yung tamang-tama kasi yun ang concern ko.
Okay.
Yung nyo po ngayon. Although, yung definite, yung po sana yung, although sinasabi nyo walang definite, yung talaga, yung median, yung estimate, na closest estimate, yun sana po gusto ko rin din nalaman.
Yeah. Okay. So timely ang lecture ko ngayon to answer some of your issues. So anong tanong mo? Anong tanong mo?
Actually kasi sinend ko sa messenger yung may mga documents po akong sinend sa inyo. So yung po sanang gusto kong malaman kasi yung prognosis po ng mother ko is yung may blockage siya sa colon.
May bago siyang problema. Blockage sa colon. Okay.
Kaya,
I don't know the details for the moment, but for the sake of the time, no. So let's just give a summary. Yung mother mo, how old was your mother? How old is your...
77 siya nung May 31.
Pero yung we operated on her breast cancer, tama? Okay lang ito share the story.
Yeah, okay lang po.
Okay, so we operated on her breast cancer when?
Nung 71 years old siya, 2017.
2017, that's 17, 23, 6 years ago?
Opo.
6 years ago, okay. So during that time, so you might be asking, I suppose you were asking also the questions, may taning na ba yung buhay ng mother ko at that time, di ba? So I suppose you were asked, some of you were asking us also. So at that time, we cannot strictly speaking, may taning. We don't know because there's a limit to the lifespan of people on Earth now, but we cannot really give a good, cannot predict yet, no? Okay. So we just base it on the, kung anong stage ba siya? Anong stage siya?
Nung una, initially 3A, pero nung biopsy, sorry po kasi may firing range, medyo maingay. Sorry po, hindi ko makontrol. Stage 3 siya, 3A, pero nung biopsy, may metastasis, so stage 4.
Yung 71?
Stage 4 na po yun.
Yung 1979, yung 7 years ago? Stage 4?
Opo, parang stage 4 na po yun. Kasi pag may metastasis po, stage 4 po yun. Tama po ba?
Metastasis to the lungs, to the bones, to the brain. Pero kung to the lymph nodes, hindi. Kasi baka metastasis to the lymph nodes lang yon sa kilikili.
Sa kilikili.
Kilikili. Iba yon. Baka hindi naman stage 4. Okay? So most likely stage 3, no? Or 2. or 3, no? So you look at
3A.
so we look at the 5-year survival rate of the of stage 3, let's say 3A or 3B, no? So usually kung 5-year survival rate, if I'm not mistaken, yung mga statistics will show about mga 40 or sabihin natin 40, example lang 40%, no? Okay, 5-year survival rate, meaning 60% will die after 5 years, no? And then 40% will still be alive, no? Okay, but we don't know where your mother will fall, no? Okay, yan ang challenge, no? Okay. Now, usually pag kayo mga stage 3, mahirap pa wala pang masyadong data on the median survival, no? Okay, you can only talk about 5-year survival rates. Yan lang mga statistics available, no? Okay? So anong nangyari after that? Meron ba tayong mga gamot na binigay? Nakalimutan ko na.
Nag-ano po siya letrozole at saka yung
Okay, hormonal treatment. Nag-hormonal treatment. Okay.
zoledronic.
Okay. So when nagkaroon siya ng wala siyang evidence of recurrence, di ba? Up to now, except for meron siyang pancreatic tumor.
Yeah, pero actually po Doc, yung ang gusto kong maano yung kasi kagabi ang sabi niya, yung daw na operahan sa kanya, parang ngayon niya lang naramdaman na sumakit ng masakit na masakit.
Okay lang yung masakit, walang bukol, di ba? Okay, so ang problema okay lang to share with everybody para matuto yung iba. No? Just using your example. Pero mamaya, when we do our telemedical consultation, bubusisiin ko, no? Okay? But for the sake of discussion here, learning, no? So 7 years after, wala siyang signs of recurrence, pero meron siya ibang tumor, no? Okay? Okay. So that's why I said we never can predict what will happen during the rest of the life of a person with a cancer. Sa kanya, may tinubuan siya ng etong colonic cancer, ngayon ko lang narinig ito, no? Pero yung pancreatic tumor niya may lumabas, no? Okay? May lumabas na kailan lumabas ito? 3 years ago? During the pandemic?
Mga 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So hindi siya naninilaw, ganon. So it might be a separate cancer, di ba? Or tumor, no? Separate, not related to the breast cancer, no? Okay. So just remember for everybody's learning is that once you have a cancer, it doesn't mean once you have another tumor, it's the same. It might be different, no? Okay. So, yung sa kanya, ang nanay ni Mona, meron siyang pancreatic tumor, no? So, which it could be cancer related to the breast cancer, pero most likely it's not kasi tumatagal ng 3 years, di ba? 2 to 3 years na, di ba? Okay. At hindi naman lumalaking husto, no? Binabantayan lang natin, tama? Okay. So it might not be related to the breast cancer, pero may tumor siya, no? And then, yung sinasabi mo ngayon, bagong findings,
yung sa colon. Pero kasi parang yung prognosis niya hindi na po maganda. Dahil hindi na siya halos makakain. Sobrang everyday sumasakit.
Ano yung sumasakit sa kanya? Yung tiyan niya?
Yung tiyan niya. Pero kagabi lang siya nakaramdam yung sa dating na operahan sa kanya.
Pero yung tiyan niya, proven na ba may colonic cancer siya?
Yung pa nga po kasi sabi, parang ano na daw, yung necro something, wala na makuhang sample kasi necrotic. Hindi po ba is the correct term?
Okay. Anyway, I will study it in detail, but for the moment, it just seems that once you have a breast cancer or any cancer for that matter, you can have another cancer in the future. It might be usually it's the same, it's related to the original, but it can still be a different one. Just like in Mona's mother, most likely it's a different type of cancer, no? So we have to when we talk about tanning sa buhay, the topic is tanning the buhay, so we may have to make a judgment on a separate level. Baka baka yung breast cancer niya is the one causing the recurrence of the tumor, then prognosis is very bad. So parang stage 4 na yan. Okay. So talagang yung days are really medyo pwede mo nang i-estimate ng konti, okay? Compared to yung mga stage 1, stage 2, mahirap pa i-estimate, So pag stage 4 na, madaling i-estimate. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, ganon, Okay? But if the cancer is not related to the breast cancer, so we treat it independently, Ano ba yung prognosis ng colon cancer, di ba? So wag kayo mag-give up ng hope kasi there are patients who can be treated for 5 types of cancer, they can still survive for so many years. Iba-iba kasi yung cancer nila, Okay? Okay? So yung mga ibang cancer niya might be slow growing, Okay? Okay? So sa ngayon, you have other questions? Ngayon, I will just stop here. I will just we'll just discuss your mother's case in detail later on. Okay. Okay, bukas when we meet for the teleconsultation. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? That's a good example that we can apply. Any questions? Ladies, may taning na buhay sa buhay mo? Unmute mo nga. Unmute. Yan.
Okay. Hello po.
Yeah, sige. I'm just stimulating everybody. May taning na ba yung buhay mo? Did this question cross your mind 30
Yes.
years ago?
Nung na-discover na meron, oo, naisip ko rin yon.
Okay. So, paano mong hinandle yon?
Nung paano ko hinandle, naisip ko na lahat naman tayo merong taning sa buhay. Kaya lang, hindi rin natin alam kung kailan. But kung meron kang sakit na cancer, mas mapapadali siguro. Pero po, ngayon, with my experience, Doc, kasi last June 3, 24 years na ako eh.
Okay.
24 years na po yung ko eh. Yung survival. Kaya, ito nga, binabantayan ko rin kasi may recurrence or what. Hindi natin alam.
Okay. At 24 years, cancer survivor, anong sagot mo? May taning ba sa buhay mo ngayon?
Ngayon po,
meron pa rin.
Anong tawag doon? Technically, may taning ang buhay ng bawat isa.
Yeah.
Pero sa ngayon po, malayo pa siguro. Feeling ko lang.
Yeah, pag wala tayong sakit, ang feeling natin, baka malayo pa, but we just pray and hope that it will not come in suddenly. Di ba? Yung mga unexpected. Okay?
Yan na nga lang ang dasal natin.
Yeah, dasal na lang. We can never predict what will
Huwag
happen.
mapadali.
Yeah, we can never predict what will happen each day.
Only God knows kung kailan.
Okay.
Kaya nga po, natin, yung mga babantayan natin, pangalagaan natin yung health natin.
Okay, so sa ngayon, si Reyes, wala siyang immediate concern, di ba? Okay, so in remission siya for the past 23 years. Okay, thank you.
Pero medyo kinakabahan din ako kasi yung ubo ko, hindi ko naman baka minsan naisip ko, ano kaya ito, baka lung cancer or what. Kasi yung ubo ko hindi naalis. Pero kasi may asthma rin naman ako.
Yeah.
So yun po ang binabantayan ko.
Yeah, bantayan mo na, observe mo muna, then pray and hope it will disappear, it will be mawawala, no? Okay?
Thank you, Doc, sa maganda yung topic ngayon. I love it, yung yung ganyan. Kasi
Oh,
pag ano, tatanungin ka o tatanungin yung ano, may taning na ba siya, may ano.
yeah.
Maganda, very relevant.
Thank you. Thank you. Sige, but I need your input kasi this is first time I talk about this one in a formal basis na. Okay. Alam ko maraming nagtatanong sa akin, mahirap sagutin eh. Okay. Kasi kung sasabihin ko, lahat naman tayo may taning na buhay eh. Di ba? Kung ayaw, kung sa ayaw
Doc,
nila
yung
isa,
binigay, ano, maganda rin yung binigay yung parameters. It depends on the type of cancer, di ba?
yeah, yeah,
Yung condition of the health of the patient, the
yeah.
kind of treatment. So, kaya ano, medyo nalinawagan kaming
Yeah.
nakikinig.
Yeah, ako rin. Saka I know a lot of people are also complaining, patients complaining. Bakit ito sabi ng doktor hanggang 6 months lang ito, pero yung pasyente namin nabuhay up to 10 years, no? Di ba? May mga ganon. So, we have to qualify really para may walang misunderstanding among doctors and patients, na? Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, ladies,
Welcome po.
for your input. Any questions? Wala? Okay, I bet there's a question there.
Nothing at the chat box. Here. From Ma'am Jacqueline Tong. In general, what is the lifespan of males and females in their late 80s with Parkinson's, considering that the person is in generally good health and Parkinson's is well managed?
Mahirap i-compute yan. Mahirap unless there are data, baka palagi ko in the Philippines wala, no? In the other countries, palagi ko wala rin yan, no? So what I can suggest is that late 80s, tingnan mo muna yung actuarial studies kung late 80s, siyempre, based on what I presented kanina, actuarial studies, 80, 90, sabi natin, kung 10 years pa, no, ang ano niya, expected lifespan, kung walang diseases, 10 years, then you input the Parkinson, ano ba yung Parkinson kasi ngayon it's labeled as incurable, no? Okay.
Yes.
It's labeled as incurable, pero anong mode of exit nila? Anong kinamamatay nila, no? So accident, pwede, no? Ano pa?
Hindi ba yung
Parkinson?
Parkinson's is debilitating? Palala
Yeah,
ng
but
palalatan.
that's why
No?
we have to know what are the usual exit, how do they usually die, no? Okay. So sa ngayon, I'm not sure how they usually die, no? Okay.
Mhm.
It's incurable, no? Baka pneumonia, no? Ganon. Pneumonia probably kung if the pneumonia can be controlled, no? Basta prevention lang, baka you can just you can just calculate it based on the usual lifespan of a person now without the disease. Probably 10 years, 15 years, ganon, if you want to estimate, no? Based on the actuarial
Okay.
studies, no? Okay. Yung Parkinson, pero yung Parkinson, I think may bagong gamot. Kasi sabi ko, one of the factors that you consider is there an effective treatment available, di ba? So, I think they're now coming out with a new treatment na sa PGH, no? Bago, Parkinson. Tama.
Aha.
Yeah. Parkinson. Ewan ko lang kung mag-a-apply doon sa 80 years old, di ba? Okay. So,
Yes.
but
Mm-mm.
if there is a effective treatment, baka it will be as good as the yung expected lifespan of an 80-year-old person na rin, na. Okay. So
Okay, thank
you
you.
can explore on that. No? You can explore on that. No? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Lana? It's 3:04. We have some rooms for one more questions if you want. Nalagay mo na yung link sa chat box. Abet, kalimutan ko. Link of the Olete. So, no more questions? Sinong nagsasabi na may taning sa buhay na nila ngayon? Who has taning sa buhay? Ako may taning sa buhay. Lahat tayo may taning sa buhay. No? Okay. So, but we don't know when. No? If you don't have a disease, but if you have a disease, then you can look at the median survival rate. Use it as a basis. And then, work on it. If you know that you have a taning sa buhay, I know some of you here probably will have some. No? I won't mention the names. No? But you work on it. How do you work on it? Since we know that all of us will die someday, okay, you make your life as meaningful as possible. No? Yung mga remaining years of your life as meaningful as possible and productive and be contented. So it's tantamount to saying that you do an intentional living plan. You plan out your life so that you will enjoy, you will be contented, you will be happy, okay, for the remaining years of your life. Now that's how you attack this issue. Now, okay, okay. Wala na? Last call. So if there are no more questions, okay, we will call it a day. So we will see each other next week. No? Next week, okay. Next week, I'm trying to prepare a topic, hospice care. Hospice care na lang, hospice care. No? Okay. Hospice care for cancer patients. No? Okay. So if there are no more questions, we'll call it today. We'll see each other next week. Okay?
Okay, Doc.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po. Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you.
Happy weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Happy